Hello and welcome to Ask Timely. My name is Seb, I'm one of the co-founders here, and this is a video series we use to talk about the questions that you send in to us about coffee and about Timely and about all different things throughout the industry and our approach to them. So this week's question comes from Rob Walker, and Rob asks, how do the values of generosity and responsibility work in a practical sense for the things that you do at Timely? So in their email, Rob's question was relating specifically to how we buy coffee and how it kind of impacts the way that we do things, considering we have such strong values, and also in relation to certain other models such as fair trade and other ways that we can kind of try and guarantee that producers are receiving a fair income based on the coffee that we're purchasing from them. So this is a really great question, and it's great for a couple of reasons. Firstly, because for me, I always felt as though this was something that we were actually fairly good at communicating already. And it's really great to hear from people that are telling us, these are the things that are also important to them as consumers, and the way that we're communicating these messages is not really clear enough. And this is really, really great feedback for us, and it gives us an opportunity to really reflect on kind of our messaging and how we're presenting it to people. So, we're putting out a few new things on the website and throughout our content and our social media, and we'll really kind of make a different and more considered focus on how we articulate these things in a way that's really easily understood. But to get back to the question from Rob, the way that we really live these values is we are, working as hard as we can to make sure the connections we're building with producers at origin is as strong as possible. So we have done a video before on different ways to buy coffee, and fair trade was featured in that. And fair trade is, one model to make sure that producers are receiving a certain amount of money for the product that they're selling. Whether or not this always works for every producer is, debatable. And whether or not this is a model that works in every situation and is always fair and equitable is also debatable. But, the big takeaway from things like fair trade is, to have a fair trade certification, it costs the producers to do so. They have to pay money to actually have that certification, which makes it really challenging for producers of kind of, different backgrounds. For us, we see our role in the supply chain and the way that we really want to do business is we want to be able to connect with the people that we're actually buying coffee from. So we don't want to buy a coffee and see that it has the fair trade label on it and assume that it's going to be doing the right thing for them or for us or for the planet or anything. We want to be able to get as close as we can to the producers that are actually growing the coffee that we rely on and ask them the challenges that they're facing and how we can help them, and make sure that the amount that we're paying not only to them, because all the money that we spend essentially goes to importers and exporters, but we want to be able to ask how much of that they're receiving and is that really fair for them. So we are working with producers like Sara Gutierrez, and our Timely 2 is from Pedro and Joao from Brazil, and we've had a chance to speak to both Pedro, and we speak to Sara on a very regular basis. And we're at a point now where we're actually negotiating prices directly with Sara, and we're really happy to be doing that. And it's a good chance for us to actually speak to these people and say, is the amount of money that you're receiving fair for what you're putting out there? Is it sustainable? Is the amount of money we're negotiating with you going to ensure that you're going to be here next year to produce coffee as well? Because we rely on these people more than anyone else. And this is our approach, and it's only one way of doing things. And I can't guarantee that we do more or do things better than any other company, but I can promise you that we do our very best to get better every day. So we're better than we were yesterday at these things, and we'll work really hard to get better at these things tomorrow. We'll keep thinking of new ways to make sure that we are, running a business with generosity and responsibility, and above all with honesty. And we'll put these values forward for ourselves, but also put them forward for you as a consumer, so you know exactly where you're spending your money, and then how it's hopefully making the world just a little bit better. So Rob, thank you very much for your question. Both, it's great to hear questions like this, but also gives us a chance to reflect on how we're communicating our message, and I hope this clears things up. But by all means, everyone send in more questions like this or anything else you've got. Anything about coffee, anything about roasting, brewing, anything in between, send us an email at seb@timelycoffees.com.au, and we'll get back to it in a video very soon. Thanks very much, and see you next time.